Let's tackle that question. Can God create a rock too heavy for God to lift? Let's not try to use logic here, or at least human logic. So you have human logic, and then you have omnipotent logic. In the logic of omnipotence, all things are probable, all things are corresponding, and all things are existing. The term omnipotence itself means all creation, all probability. And if God is all omnipotent, omnipotence should be able to do all things at once. This is the problem with human logic. It does not span to that degree of perception because it's observed from the individual standpoint. Let's take the shape, for example. Human logic is you cannot have a three-sided shape with four sides within the confines of a 2D perception. Human logic. But if we destroy it completely, you have a pyramid with a four-sided base. Considering the perception of all things, this is not a logical explanation, more so fully complete exposure to the idea. Just because the shape is rotating doesn't make it any less of a shape, or a 2D shape. Conceptually, still human logic. So we can't play within those rules. Now a rock. A rock too heavy for God to lift. It's happening all the time, because there's always a rock too heavy for something to lift, and not too heavy for something else to lift. So the omnipotent logic would be that it exists in both realms. The answer has to be both, because it's omnipotent logic. Human logic says otherwise, because it's again limited to one perception. Fragmented perception is not complete perception. Fragmented perception will never be omnipotent perception. That's primarily why human logic and omnipotent logic are two different things. There's no need to prove that either because omnipotence itself is all things. So, the segregation of the two constructs, from perceiving it as a human being versus the understanding of our Lord, will eternally be severed from two different strands of logic. So can a three-sided shape have four sides, even if it were 2D? Evidently all the time. Omnipotent logic would make the screen 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D. And then within the limits of human understanding, we can only see what we think is available. So the availability for a rock too heavy for God to lift must exist and not exist at the same time, hence being created simultaneously, and an eternal fluctuation of what is. And then you hit the human barrier, where I don't even have to turn the three-sided shape into a pyramid, because you have the three edges and then you have its face as also a side. Hence all triangles are four-sided shapes. That's ironic, I never had to make sense of a pyramid to turn a triangle into a four-sided shape. Its face is a side.